So sometimes a bad review will get into the hands of corporate PR, and then all hell will break loose and 5-year bans will happen. Let's talk about some cruise influencers that are now banned from all Carnival brands for 5 years. Let's go. Hey everyone, John here from Byte Size Cruises. Today we're going to talk all about Sail Away magazine. This is Dan and Jay, not Dan and Shay, the country music band. They're fine. They can go on all the Carnival cruises they want. Dan and Jay from Sail Away magazine are banned from all Carnival brands, and I want to talk about this today. I wanted to take a few days. This happened last week, and I wanted to take a few days to really kind of research and dig in on this before giving my kind of thoughts on it. Not my opinion, because my opinion really doesn't matter. So I watched a bunch of their videos. I was familiar with them. They had done an interview with Emma Cruises, and it was great. And I had watched a bunch of their videos. So I went back, I watched a lot of their videos. I watched a lot of the commentary. So I watched Tony from La Lita Loca's video about it. I thought he had a really great commentary on it as well. So let's go through exactly what happened here. Dan and Jay have Sail Away magazine. They have a ton of subscribers on YouTube. They do a digital and a print magazine. And they are just like any other cruise content creator, right? They go out, they do reviews, they do vlogs, they do all the things that everyone does. So here's what happened. They did a scathing review of the Carnival Miracle. And there's a lot of facts and figures that go around with this, right? So they went on a Holland American cruise last year. Holland American reportedly paid for their wedding, paid for the cruise, which was delightful, which is very, very nice. Also, doesn't mean that they can't be critical of the brand. I saw a lot of people being like, well, they paid for your wedding. So yeah, they're still can be honest, right? Maybe about that specific cruise, you're obviously not going to be overly critical because they paid for it. So you're of course going to say nice things. That's why we tend to not accept any free cruises unless it's something like an inaugural or something that as a travel agent we are going on. We do not get free cruises for being on YouTube. We don't have anywhere near the following to command anything like that, and I don't take them anyway. We have been offered some stuff. I did go on the World America, MSC World America, as a travel agent. And it was a travel agent inaugural cruise. So everybody on there was pretty much travel agents. And we were still honest. They didn't say anything to me that I couldn't be honest or say anything. And we'll still be honest. But it does kind of put you in a position where you have to think about it, which is why I won't generally accept free cruises or anything like that. We pay for all our cruises. I pay for myself. I pay for Meg if she goes on a cruise. Pay for AJ, Sarah, whoever it is from our team. We pay for those cruises. And then we are honest about it. We are also not overly negative or effusively positive in either direction. And we'll get into reasons for that. They did a review on the Carnival Miracle. I watched the whole review. They got on the ship, their room was filthy. That's fair game, right? They went and complained about it. They got a deep cleaning. The hotel director came back and put them in a suite. This again puts you in a little bit of a position to maybe understate maybe, or kind of be a little more nice maybe about your what had happened. So look, again, in that position, if I got on a ship, it was a terrible experience. The cabin was filthy. They came in and did a deep cleaning. Sure, you could talk about it and say, look, the room was really filthy. They came and did a deep cleaning, and then here's how the rest of the trip went. The hotel director puts them in a suite. At that point, I may throw out my review of this whole cruise. Because at that point, I would say, okay, what am I going to do here? We had an issue, right? They cleaned it. The hotel director did something great, went above and beyond for the brand and to make their experience better, put them in a suite, and then they still came on and trashed it, right? So it's a tough position. When they fix the problem for you, maybe at that point, It's just, okay, maybe I'm just going to sit this one out. Or mention we had a problem, it was fixed, they put us in a suite, and then let's get into the rest of the review. But they didn't. They went hard on this review. They didn't like the ship, and all of that is fine. So they did this whole thing. They did the whole review. And then, of course, the thumbnail and the clickbait are something we're going to talk about in a few minutes. And then Carnival UK fired back, and they wrote a letter saying, you have shown us that you don't want the holiday we offer, so you're barred for 5 years from all the Carnival brands, including Cunard, P&O, and Princess. That's 93 ships that they are banned from. They said it is thus no longer appropriate for you to travel with us. You will not be permitted to travel with us for a period of 5 years. And they even went on to say, like, this is not, this is the end of this matter. We're not talking about it anymore. They have now come on and done a video about getting banned, which of course is great for them. In the short term, it's great content. It's going to go viral, and of course it has. And we're sitting here talking about it, and that's interesting as well. Feeds into it. Similar thing that happened to Ben and David when they had a run-in with MSC. They did. It's very, very parallel situations here. Ben and David didn't get banned, obviously, but they were asked not to film on that ship. They threatened to get off the ship, right? And did. And then these guys did the same thing. Dan and Jay threatened that they were going to get off at the next port, and they were given the upgrade to the suite. And now, same thing with Ben and David. Ben and David kind of really benefited from that negativity, and everybody got behind them and was like, this is censorship. Made a big deal. They went viral for their issue that they had. Then MSC called them back, tried to make things right. They became like an ambassador. They got like a thing where they could talk to them about media relations and everything else. So they parlayed it into a win. And I'm sure that's going to happen here at some point. There will be some discussion because this is too big for there not to be a discussion. So let's get into my thoughts on it, right? I don't believe that I see everybody, freedom of speech and everything. First of all, they're in the UK. So they're not a US-based team or company or anything like that. So they don't have the First Amendment. They don't have our Constitution. So it doesn't make any sense. Also, with the Constitution and your First Amendment right, you have the First Amendment right to say anything you want and be protected from prosecution from the government. That doesn't mean that Carnival can't ban you or do anything, or any private company for that matter. I thought Tony's story was really great from La Lita Loca. He worked at Burger King, and he said when he was working there, some guy bought burgers all the time and kept returning them. And the manager finally said, look, we're not going to serve you burgers anymore. You don't like these burgers. How you like them apples? So shout out to Tony from La Lita Loca for putting that together, as well as Ludacris. So in looking into this more, I think this is a larger factor of what's going in the world of influencers and content creators, and not just cruises, and not just travel, and not just anything in this genre. When you are making money from developing content, there is this issue where you start seeing what works better on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or whatever platform you're on. And as a general rule, as a vast majority rule, negativity sells way better than anything else does, right? So when you do, I look constantly and I see clickbait thumbnails on YouTube of like, worst cruise ever. You won't believe what happened. I talk about this all the time. It's all blue in the face. I hate it. I don't like it. But it works. And I'm not going to sit here and tell somebody how they can make money. If that's the way that you choose to make money and you make money on it and you're successful, I don't begrudge you that success. Congratulations, that's awesome. I just don't want to do that. It doesn't make me feel good inside. I don't like it. I'm not trying to make money off of YouTube. We're trying to use YouTube. There's the difference here. And they have a magazine and stuff too. I'm using YouTube to talk to you all, to show expertise, breaking down the fourth wall here, and then develop a trust factor so that you would consider using us as a travel agent, right? That's our marketing strategy. That's what we do here. We're a travel agency trying to give you the best information possible about traveling so you can plan to go on an amazing cruise vacation. So in doing that, we come on here on YouTube, we do reviews, we do walkthroughs, ship tours, vlogs, all of those things. We talk about excursions, all the fun things we do, the food, the entertainment, everything, in the hopes that you will understand that we are cruise experts and you will call us to help you plan your cruise. That's what we do. I don't begrudge those people for making money just doing content. That's a viable career at this point. And if you can make money doing that, God bless you. There are tons of great creators out there. Tips for Travelers, Tony, Don, Emma, Jay at The Ship Life, Jason at Travel Scouts. We talk about them all the time. Midships, Corey at Midships, everybody that we love, Griffin, Alyssa, all the people. So negativity for the most part, if you look at the larger creators as they start to get bigger and bigger and bigger, one of the things that you will see is that they lean into the negativity. Same thing we saw with Ben and David, right? If you go back and watch old Ben and David videos, it's very like transparent, honest, all those things. Not that I'm not saying that they're not transparent and honest now. I'm saying that they pull you in with negativity. Like even on some of the newer ones, it's old ship, terrible. And then you go in there and they're like, we had a great time. And I joked about it with Griffin and Alyssa all the time, where it's like, you won't believe what happened on this cruise. And then, we were told we had to get off the ship. And yeah, because it was disembarkation day. But that's how they get people to come on. That's how they make money. Again, I don't begrudge anybody for making money like that. I just don't like that this is what happens when we lean into that too much. When we lean into like okay, something was bad, I am going to roast this cruise line. And now they got banned. And I think it sucks that they got banned. And I hope that Carnival reconsiders it and they talk and they work something out. But my larger concern is that these things continue to happen, and eventually it's going to come to the point where it's going to be like, look, we don't want these people on our ships. If you can't be open-minded and honest and transparent and show the positives and the negatives fairly, then you probably just shouldn't be allowed to do this. And I don't want that to happen, because we use this as obviously as a vehicle for our marketing. And I love cruising. And I think cruising is awesome. Are there terrible ships out there? I'm sure there are. Are most of the issues that we see overblown, and there are very specific circumstances to avoid? Yes. That's why I think you can come on and say, look, I didn't particularly enjoy this. We talked about it with Venezia when we went on Carnival Venezia. I didn't particularly enjoy the crowd. I thought the ship was beautiful. I thought the food was amazing. So you can say, like, here's the truth of the matter. Here are the pros, here are the cons, here is the good, the bad, the ugly, and be fair and balanced about it. And everybody's experience is going to be very different. You could be on a completely different cruise, same ship, 1 week apart, and one could be a disaster, one could be amazing. So when we look at it, it's always like, okay, well, this was one thing that went wrong. This is one experience. So we try to be really upfront and fair about it without just roasting the cruise lines. Do we talk about the fights that happened and the drugs and everything else? Of course. It's fair to talk about those things. I think there just needs to be better framing sometimes. But look, the YouTube algorithm is amazing at pushing this clickbait culture a little bit. So cruise titles like Cruise Ship Nightmare, they banned us. Those are going to skyrocket. Those are going to be great. They're going to get a lot of views. And I think Tony summed it up well as well, saying like, hey, when you're looking at your analytics and you see that when something's negative, and I think it's fine to talk about things that are negative, your engagement, your likes, your views, everything goes up. So then that becomes a little intoxicating and you keep trying to replicate that. So and again, this isn't like we're the more virtuous brand. I don't care. It's totally fine. You can pick whichever way you want to do it. It doesn't make me feel good to do that. I'd rather just put out the information and have everyone else comment on it. We talked about the Carnival Rewards program. People aren't very happy about it, right? It's not my job to trash that program. It's my job to say, here's the program. Here's what the new program is. What do you think about it? Are you a loyal Carnival cruiser? I cruise on all the brands. So I'll give you my opinion. I didn't think that the Carnival program was great, but I'm sure it will change and we'll see what happens with it. Again, try to be a little more fair and balanced. Just what we do. We don't talk about people jumping overboard. There's a bunch of stuff that I just don't want to cover. And I know that it's news and I know that people don't care. They're going to watch it and everyone else covers it. It's totally fine. So we see it as well. If we talk about something negative or something isn't great, it gets a lot more traction. And that's fine. There are times where something didn't go well. And I think it's fine to bring it up. I feel bad for them. I feel bad for them for getting banned. But again, if you go back and look through a lot of their reviews, they obviously don't like Carnival. They've gone through it and they've had terrible experiences. So then are you going on those ships just so you have something terrible to talk about? Which I don't want to do. I want to go have great experiences. I don't want to go on a ship that I think is going to be bad. I was booked on Margaritaville, the original Margaritaville at Sea ship, before Islander came out. And I decided to cancel that because I was watching all the reviews and it was a train wreck. And I said, why am I going to do this? Am I going on this just because I think it's going to be salacious content? And it was. And I canceled it. And I paid for it in full. It wasn't a ton of money. It's like $800. But I paid for it and decided not to go. We almost did that with Carnival one time. But I didn't. And I generally have a great time on any ship. I've been on Jubilee. I loved it on Carnival. Judy and I were on Celebration. We had a great time. There's things. You're going to see things, and we're going to be honest about those things. But again, food was great. The entertainment was amazing. So many fun things, right? There are so many options and so many great ways to go with cruising and with travel and with everything that we talk about. But again, I think the ban is extreme, but it's also a symptom of this clickbait, arms race, and negativity. So let me know what you think. That's what's more important here, like we said, right? What do you guys think? Do you think they should have been banned? They shouldn't have been banned? Again, it's not censorship. It's a private company. They can still trash Carnival every day on their YouTube channel. They're not being silenced. Carnival just doesn't want to do business with them, right? So if you own a pie shop and someone keeps coming in, buying pies, and then throwing them out and trashing you, you're eventually going to stop selling them pies. So that's just where we're at this point. Let us know what you think. I'm really excited to hear. I rambled on for far too long on this point. Again, my goal here is not to be like, hey, we're above that or we won't do that. We'll certainly talk about negativity, bad things, whatever it is. It's just interesting to see how the negativity and the clickbait always seem to do better here, but maybe that's starting to balance out by not being able to do certain things because of that. So thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Happy cruising. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.